J.R. Hildebrand has got to have one of the strangest IndyCar careers of all time. Having made his IndyCar debut at Mid-Ohio in 2010, he's made at least one start in the series every year since. Despite that fact, he's only raced full-time in IndyCar for 3 seasons in that time. Chances are he's never gonna run full-time in IndyCar again, and I think that's a bit of a shame. His career story will most likely be the topic of a future video. So for now, let's just focus on his 2011 season, where he had one of the strangest rookie seasons in IndyCar history. On December 14th, 2010, it was announced that for the upcoming 2011 IndyCar season, J.R. Hildebrand would drive the number 4 Panther racing car in a multi-year deal. He impressed the team while testing for them earlier in the 2010 offseason, something that likely led to his hiring. We now jump ahead to race number 1 of the year at St. Petersburg, and although it wasn't a horrible start to the year, it wasn't good either. He started second to last and 24th, only beating out his old Indy Lights teammate Sebastian Saavedra. As for the race itself, he would eventually finish 11th. Of the first 3 IndyCar races that year though, St. Pete was easily his best, as the next 2 races at Barber and Long Beach saw JR finish 13th and 17th respectively. Long Beach was a special kind of dreadful too, as he not only finished 17th, but started dead last in 27th, with a qualifying time about 2.5 seconds slower than Will Power's pole time. Sao Paulo was thankfully a slight reprieve, as JR would finish 10th from a fairly poor 22nd start. So we're now 4 races into the 2011 season, and the next race is Indianapolis. It's not only the biggest race in IndyCar, but this year is a very special edition. It's a 100th anniversary of the first Indy 500, an occasion commemorated by many events to remember the history of both track and event. We have a robust entry this year of 42 cars fighting for 33 spots. One of these drivers making a one-off entry this year is venerated Brit Dan Wheldon. Wheldon had won both the Indy 500 and the Series Championship in 2005, but after a couple years at Chip Ganassi, his relationship with the team was starting to collapse. He would then sign for Panther Racing, where he stayed the next 2 years. He was runner-up in the Indy 500 2 years in a row, but still lost his drive to J.R. Hildebrand. Dan is on a 1-race deal with Brian Herta Autosports, the team that had barely qualified for the race 1 year prior with Sebastian Saavedra. There are plenty of other entries worth talking about, but for simplicity's sakes, they won't be mentioned at length. With that being said, we can now get into the month of May. Rookie orientation on Thursday, May 12th would be the first official session for the month, and it was a good start for J.R. Hildebrand. At a speed of 221.533 miles an hour, he topped the session ahead of Ho Ping Tung in second. The 2011 rookie orientation would also be the first to have the 4-part orientation program that we still have as of this video's release in late September of 2022. As practice rolled on, it was made apparent that JR had a decently quick car, much like most Panther cars had for years now. He would be 3rd in the practice session on May 14th and 6th on May 19th. He would eventually qualify 12th for the race, a pretty damn good performance with him being the highest qualified rookie. He would be joined on row 4 by Vitor Meira and Takuma Sato. And now we of course have the race itself. Most of you probably know exactly what happened. In reality, it's the most memorable part of not only J.R. Hildebrand's rookie IndyCar season, but his entire IndyCar career. After a late crash between Townsend Bell and Ryan Briscoe, the race became a fuel mileage race. At first it was Danica Patrick in the lead, then Bertrand Baguette, but when he pulled in for fuel, the lead fell into the hands of J.R. Hildebrand. It was looking like the young American was going to pull off the upset of the century and become the first American to win the Indy 500 since Sam Hornish Jr. in 2006. But as he tried to pass fellow rookie Charlie Kimball on the last turn on the last lap, JR ran into the marbles.
Panther Racing, oh so good. They finished second here, twice here they come again through the final 2 corners. J.R. Hildebrand. Careful of traffic. He's got to get around the lap. Traffic. 100 years. No! He hit the wall. Just like Thomas Scheckter. Keep your foot on the gas. Dan Wheldon is going to win the race.
Yeah, Dan!
That is is unbelievable. Oh my goodness. Weldon, after finishing second the last 2 years, wins when J.R. Hildebrand hits the wall coming out of 4, just as Scheckter did in 2000.
Although Dan Weldon would get to drink the milk in victory lane, the story wasn't quite over yet. Panther Racing considered protesting the results, saying that because the yellow flag had come out while JR was leading, Dan Weldon's pass for the win was illegal, and that JR Hildebrand was a rightful winner of the race. A compelling case, minus the fact that the number 4 Panther car was considered wounded, and even still the official time of the yellow was after the pass. And thus the official results came out. Dan Weldon first, and J.R. Hildebrand second. As heart-wrenching a loss as it was for both driver and team, from a results perspective, it was a high point of the year. The following weeks would be rough for the whole team. At the doubleheader in Texas, Hildebrand finished 23rd in race 1 and 18th in race 2. Milwaukee would be even worse, with him crashing on lap 120. It would take a month after Indy for the team to get another top 10, let alone another top 5. This came in Iowa, where JR finished 4th behind Marco Andretti, Tony Kanaan, and Scott Dixon. After another good finish of 8th in the next race in Toronto, Hildebrand once again had a bad stretch of results. He would finish 11th in Edmonton, 25th in Mid-Ohio, have a crash with Dario Franchitti in New Hampshire, finish 23rd in Sonoma, and then once again have a late crash in the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix. It is worth noting that Hildebrand had shown some solid speed in New Hampshire, as he qualified 11th and would have had a surefire top 10. The road course at Twin Ring Motegi would be the site of J.R. Hildebrand's last top 10 of the year, with him finishing 7th from a 19th place start. Kentucky was his best start of the year, as he actually started 5th for this race. However, he would eventually finish 1 lap down in 20th. On paper, Kentucky was the last race of that season, but many of us know what happened in Vegas. After contact between Wade Cunningham and James Hinchcliffe, the pack behind basically had nowhere to go. Hildebrand was one of the first cars involved, getting airborne over the back of Wade Cunningham, then hitting the outside wall. When the dust settled, Hildebrand had sustained severe bruising to his sternum, and was held overnight for observation. Dan Weldon, the same driver that shared that historical finish with JR back in May, was tragically killed. Of the countless rookie seasons in IndyCar racing, Hildebrand's was possibly the biggest roller coaster ride of them all. It started from a small hill with some rises and falls here and there, then proceeded to climb before it was quickly and abruptly brought back down to earth, where it returned to some small dips and crests before it ended in a manner nobody would want. With only 5 top 10s and 2 top 5s out of a total of 17 races, J.R. Hildebrand would end up 14th in the standings, losing the Rookie of the Year award to James Hinchcliffe by just 6 points. It might not be a good rookie season to many, but what J.R. Hildebrand's rookie IndyCar season lacks in results, it certainly makes up in the form of having a storyline that just seems straight out of Hollywood, albeit it isn't a story of triumph, rather drama.